You're listening to The Rich Life Revolution with me, Michelle Cooper. My mission is to empower you to step into your next level of wealthy. You'll hear all the deets, a little bit of inspiration, and real life takeaways so that you can create your own rich life revolution. Let's dig in. Welcome to the Rich Life Revolution. I am your host, Michelle, and today I want to ask you a big question. Have you ever had that weird feeling where you felt drawn to a place and had no idea why? Or maybe you've traveled somewhere that felt weird or off, even though it's supposed to be a dream destination? Sister, I have been there on both sides of that. In this episode, we're diving into the magical world of transformative travel and astrocartography with Sonia Cruz Oro. And trust me, you do not want to miss this conversation. It could be a game changer. Sonia shares how travel can be more than just checking off bucket list items, which, let's be honest, we've all got a bucket list, right? And it can be a catalyst for self-discovery and personal growth. And get this, Sonia uses astrocartography, yes, astrology plus geography, to map out where in the world your energy will thrive the most, from finding love to sparking creativity. Let's dig in. Welcome, Sonia. Welcome to the Rich Life Revolution.
Hi, Michelle. My pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
So good to have you today. And I just want to share with our listeners, I have worked with Sonia in the topic that we're going to be talking about, and her gifts are incredible. And I'm so excited to share her with the world and with our listeners in particular. So let's kind of dive in. Sonia, you talk about, like your passion in this world is transformational travel and astrocartography. And I just love that. I think a lot of people will be intrigued by that. I find a lot of people don't know what that is. And so I really want to kind of dive deep into that. But before we get started on that, tell me a little bit about you. Like, brag about yourself. What have you got going on? I know you've just arrived back from a trip, and we want to hear a little bit about Sonia so we can get to know you.
Yes, thanks, Michelle. So I'm just back from a Camino trip. So this is one of the services I offer in the umbrella of transformational travel. So with the astrocartography, Camino de Santiago is the pilgrimage that I specialized. I'm originally from Spain. I live in Ireland. I moved here because in my past life, I used to work in the corporate world since very young age. And I was there for nearly 20 years until I decided that was not my passion and my purpose in life. But I didn't know what was my passion and my purpose. So I look at my passions, and personal development has been one of my passions since very early age. I got a degree in psychology. I always studied, the personal behavior is something that always fascinates me. And I did some courses in coaching, and I got a certification in neurolinguistic programming in NLP. So this was one of my big passions, but my other big passion was travel. And at that point in my career, when I knew that I didn't want to go for the next promotion, but I didn't know what to do, I realized that I didn't travel as much as I wanted because I was prioritizing my career, basically. So that was the moment when I said, okay, that's my time, that's my opportunity. So I embraced travel, and I changed my life as a result. So after doing my research, and I knew I was not an exception, and my case was not exceptional. So it has to do something with travel, but also the mindset and the way we travel. that help. I believe is a power catalyst for transformation. And I discovered transformational travel. I discovered travel coaching. I got a certification. The International Coach Federation certifies travel coaches. So I got the certification and I quit my job in the corporate world. And yeah, the rest is history.
Wow. I didn't even know there was like a certification in travel coaching. So
Yes.
travel coaching, who do you coach when you're a travel coach?
Mm-hmm. There are different people specialize in different niches, but basically it's different of a travel agent because a travel coach don't necessarily book hotels or flights unless they are also a travel agent. So what the travel coach does is basically help the traveler to prepare before the travel experience. And this
Oh,
can be co-designing, together using coaching or other tools. For example, astrocartography, I use it to help them map out destinations. And then during the travel experience, if they have any, issue, or maybe sometimes it's culture shock, maybe sometimes it's like they feel homesick, or, they feel lonely. They don't know how to meet people. They had some problems when they are away, so they can use these sessions on demand as well to
oh,
know
that's
that
so
even if they
good.
travel, yes, even if they travel solo, they know there is somebody else at the other side that they encourage them, remind them, why they are there, why they are doing what they are doing, because we set intentions, and of course we go deeper on the why they are doing this trip that's meaningful and significant for them. But also after is important, and I believe is something that most times is not looked as important as it is. When the person goes back home, imagine they have been like 3 months or 6 months or 1 year traveling. Sometimes it's sabbaticals, career breaks, or just significant trips. They go back home and they come back transformed. They come back changed but the people around them or the situation around them has not necessarily changed. So
Oh, yeah.
if they do nothing, they will go back to where they were before. So how they can sustain, this motivation, these changes, to make sure it's not something temporary, but is a lasting change. That's why the word transformation is there, because this is how most people do the travel nowadays. They imagine they are burnout or stressed. They take a weekend away. They go for a spa retreat or, refresh and rejuvenate, but they go back home. And if they change nothing, they will be doing the same again, and they will be burned out again sooner than later, and they will need to travel again, right? So this is how we break this pattern, and we make the changes that travel brings to implement or, change. Sometimes it's the small changes that you tweak in your habits or the way you do things to make sure you don't end up in the same place and you have different life, different results.
That's so great. Okay, so I didn't even know that existed. And I totally see the value of that, right? I think we talk about, I've heard people talk about this concept of like retreat hangover, right? So they go away, let's say you go away on a yoga retreat and you have this incredible experience. Now, I do know retreats are different than travel. So let's just say you do that and you have this incredible experience, transformational, let's say, and you come back. And then sometimes I like there's this kind of like quote unquote hangover period, right? Where you want to be back in that environment. You want to be back in that transformative energy, right?
100%.
And you don't maybe know how your current life fits into the kind of new you kind of thing, right?
That's exactly,
Um,
yes.
yeah, I totally see that. I've been there, done that, kind of have like a gazillion t-shirts from it. Um, and and it's a really interesting thing because I think there's many more women who are branching out on their own and traveling, right? So for
Mhm.
me, when my divorce was finalized and we came out of the pandemic, I knew I wanted to travel, but I was concerned about traveling on my own. So I actually sought out a singles travel club, right? Because I thought, okay, well, these people are all single. I wasn't doing it to meet a man kind of thing. I was like, if you go somewhere and you're the single person and there's all these couples, it's weird, it's awkward, it just doesn't work, right? And I was like, if you go on a trip like with a group and you're the one or two single person around a bunch of couples, that's going to feel weird. Or even a group of friends, it would feel weird, right? And so it's like, maybe a single travel club would be better because everybody's single and you just kind of fit right in. I still belong to it. It's amazing. And it has given me incredible adventures. And I also think, like, now that I'm aware of this, travel coach kind of role, I see there were some times where I could have benefited from that because I was maybe freaking out a little bit, being on the other side of the world. I remember when I went to Kenya, I had some significant issues going on in my business. I was like trying to find a flight back home. I had just landed and I'm trying to turn around and go home. And that would have been a great coaching moment to be like, no,
Yes.
remember, this is exactly what you need, right? But I coached myself through that. And my roommate, who didn't even know me, actually was really amazing at supporting me through all of that. That's so interesting because I hadn't heard of it. And I love that. So
Yes. A coach helps you, to go deeper in the experience because
right.
sometimes, and especially nowadays, travel is so easy and it can feel, superficial sometimes and materialistic, and just people travel to tick boxes and they
Uh-huh.
arrive there, they take a picture and that's it. It's seen, it's done, next, right? So
Right.
how you can go deeper and have the experience the soul of the place, and not only the place, but the people, the culture, to get immersed, really immersed in the experience. So a coach helps you to not only, discover the real motivations that make you decide to travel, but also how you can engage and make the most of your experience when you are away and how to grow from that experience after.
Yeah. Some of my most awesome transformative experiences while traveling have been, I think what I could only describe as like slowing down, right? Like not like running to tick the box. I've seen this, I've seen that. Like these were on my bucket list or whatever. It's been like slow down the pace of your walk to see around you, right? I remember being in Chile and walking past this incredible stairway. And it had like, the base of the step was painted all different colors and some of them had little verses written on them. And I paused and I was like, that is amazing. Like, it's just a stairway, right? It's not a tourist attraction, but it was an incredible actual piece of art. And I had said to a friend on the trip, I was like, can you take a picture of me? I'm going to go halfway up and you take a picture of me. And all of a sudden, everybody in the group wanted this same picture, right? But we all kind of so many people walked past it. Like they didn't even see it because we were on our way to see something else, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's often about slowing down. The same thing happened to me in Greece, and I caught myself because we were on a small island. I was in a larger group, but a lot of the group didn't want to go out that day. They want to kind of hang out by the pool or the beach or whatever. So it was just a small group of us that kind of went out to explore the island with a local guide. And we were walking around this village area. And I remember saying to myself out loud, though, because there's all these people sitting at tables having coffee, and it was like the middle of the day, right? And I was like, don't these people have jobs to do? Like, and then I'm like, oh my God, Michelle, like this is their culture, right? And so I had said to three of my friends, I was like, do you guys want to sit down and have coffee with these people? Right. And they were like, what? I'm like, this is clearly what they do at this time of day. Right. So, like, let's join in. And we had the funnest conversations with the local people. We had amazing iced coffee and cakes and stuff. And I was like, we would have totally missed this if we were sitting around the pool, drinking our margaritas kind of thing, right? So
that's the thing, yeah, because people, just moving your body from one place to the other is not transformational. You need to do something with that. If you do the same that you do at home, just in a different geographical location, very little is going to change. So
yeah,
observe the locals and pay attention and slow down. Yeah, much better to just focus on 1, 2, 3 things, but going deeper rather than just put your diary full of things to see and then
right,
just the things
right,
blur, right? It's like so many
yeah.
things that you don't even remember what you saw.
Oh, totally, totally.
Yeah, and the
I
highlights
love that.
that people. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Like, I think you've just brought that to the forefront there. Because travel can be about ticking boxes, about seeing things you've always wanted to see, fulfilling that bucket list for sure. But it can also be just experience, like just pausing or slowing down and experiencing what you see right in front of you, right?
Because
Yeah.
what the way we in society, we live, it's just always rushing and going to the next appointment or the next meeting or to work, to do the shopping, to bring the kids, and we don't have this time to slow down. So when we are traveling, we have the beautiful opportunity to change that pattern.
Yeah.
And we will start, because we are going in autopilot in our daily lives. So when we travel, we are present, we slow down, and we are seeing things that maybe you didn't notice or you would not notice in your daily life because we are so much in our heads. So that's the opportunity. That's why travel is a powerful catalyst for the transformation and the personal growth.
Yeah. And I always say to people, travel starts the minute you leave your house. Like, it's not when you get there, right? And that's why I really, as soon as I leave my house, like, if I'm driving to the airport, I get to the airport, I'm in the lounge, I'm, I don't know, wandering around shops, I'm getting on the plane, the plane ride. Like, a lot of people think these are things you need to just get over to get to your destination, right? To me, they're part of the trip. They're part of the adventure, right? And so I talk to people. Right. And it's amazing. People are not used to being talked to necessarily. Right. And I ask people questions. Like, I remember standing in line. I was actually going to Texas, but the two people in front of me, they were going to the South Pole, and they were flying down to Texas. I think we're on the same flight, and then they were going from, I think, Dallas to somewhere in Latin America, and then they were going to go through the Drake Passage and end up in the South Pole. And I was like, oh my God, that's amazing, right? We got into this whole conversation and they told me all this stuff, and I never would have, like, they gave me information I never would have had, right? Just by standing in line waiting to check in. So
that's a totally different approach. And when you travel with this, mindset, you will have totally different experience that the same person just rushing and say why we are still here, and you start already the trip with a bad with a bad mood, right? So why would you do this to yourself?
Yeah, totally. I always think, there's always, if you're going to travel, you have to be able to go with the things that happen, right? This, what I call the swings and roundabouts, right? Like, things are delayed or early, or things get lost, or whatever happens, right? Your chair doesn't go back, or your headphones don't work, or whatever it is, right? You have to be able to go with the flow, because if you let those things get to you, then you destroy the opportunity that you have right in front of you, right?
100%. Yeah.
As I said, it's just part of the journey.
How much are you going to let this to affect you?
Right?
And right? And it happens.
Yeah,
just
totally.
move on. It will
Totally,
change the
totally,
tone of your trip.
totally. So I do want to dive in to the concept and the idea of astrocartography. Um, I worked with you in a reading of my astrological map, I guess. I don't know. I'm just making up my own words. You can correct me. Um, a lot of people I find don't know. They don't have an awareness of astrocartography. Um, I think I have for a few years, but the reading I had with you was so thorough that it really opened my eyes to me, where in the world would be a transformative experience, where it would be easy. I don't want to say where it would be hard, because that, as you explained to me, that just there's an opportunity there to move through something and to transform, right? But it was so interesting. So before we kind of dive deep into that, can you tell people who don't know what astrocartography is and how it benefits them?
Yes. So I describe astrocartography as the astrology of places. So it's astrology and geography together. It basically tells you where in the world your the planet archetypes of your chart are going to be accentuated, which means that you will most likely experience several, different parts of your personality will be bring in the front. So you are going to be the same person. The chart does not change. But as you move geographically, some parts of your personality, perhaps it's just, self-confidence, or maybe it's like the part of you that feels more insecure or more shy, or, or you're going to be more relaxed. So whatever is that line that crosses that area on where you are will accentuate. It's going to be accentuated. So I always say it's not that you will just move there and all of the sudden all is going to be transformed and it's going to be miraculously solved, but it helps like the wind is in your favor. So if you are trying to achieve a goal, some people use it, for example, to do some creative tasks. If they are writing a book or maybe coming with a program for their business, or, something that they want to focus and they want to schedule a few days and just focus on that. So where this is going to be more supportive place for them to connect with the energy that is aligned with that goal that they have. So with the astrocartography reading, we can actually map out these places where it's going to be more likely for them to connect with their creativity, for example, in this case.
That's awesome. And so, as you mentioned, right, there's, based on our astrological chart, there's places in the world that maybe things are easier or more in flow, would you say? Like certain aspects of you, like you said, like creativity, or, maybe like relationship or confidence or things like that, right? And then there's places where not so much inflow. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Like, because the way you explained to me that piece actually changed how I looked at that, because I was seeing it differently.
Yeah. So I think maybe rationally it's not easy to understand, but I'm sure many people who are listening this episode have experienced that they arrive to a place that maybe they never been there before, and without any rational explanation, they feel connected. They feel, that this place, like they've been there before, it feels like home. Something is right about the place, and the opposite is also true. They arrive to a place and they don't know why. Nothing specifically happened, maybe, but they are not. They feel a bit irritated or uncomfortable. It's like something is off about that place. So chances are they are under a line that's supportive or not supportive. And when we go deeper and we go, with the intention, because this is always where I ask with either the coaching or the astrocartography readings, is always the intention. Why? You want to travel? Yes, you want me to help you to choose destinations, but what's the intention? So it's going to be different line if you, for example, the intention is a place to live or relocate, than, for example, if it's a place for you to thrive in your career, or maybe find clients or connections business partners or relationships, loving relationships, etc. So depending on the intention and the why, we have lines that are more supportive for the case. This would be, we can look at flowing lines, which are going to be like easier for you to achieve that goal. But also we can look at lines that would be more challenging. And yeah, maybe the word challenge, we can see it as some people say, no, don't send me to a place that's challenging. But when you overcome that challenge, maybe for you, depending on your chart, to achieve that, for example, let's put the example, romantic love, right? So if we look at the planet archetype that for you, not for anybody else, just for you, it's going to be good for you to find or to connect with the love with yourself, which will increase the chances to find love and attract love outside of you. Maybe you need to overcome some, challenges that you have within yourself, maybe some limiting beliefs, maybe some, trauma, and there is no way around. You need to go through that. And that place will give you lots of opportunities for you to actually overcome that and go to the other side, where is what you want and to have what you want. So that could be an example of how you can use, flowing line, but also a challenging line to achieve your goal.
Yeah, for sure. Like I know for me, I did have that experience, right? Like I was completely shut down to any form of relationship post-divorce, right? It was like, nope, not interested, don't need that. And I know now, looking back, it's a protective energy that I had, right? Like was not interested in getting hurt again, was not interested in that taking that risk, right? And it presented itself in a way of like, nobody would be interested in me, right? Like I'm old now and like, like, no, those days are gone kind of thing, right? Like, and my trip to Kenya had all kinds of what we'll call challenges around it. It was such a transformative trip for me in so many ways, but in the kind of relation, now I didn't get into a relationship, but in that relationship area, it actually opened up a piece for me that was that I could be in a relationship, that that was a possibility, that people are still interested in a woman who's 55 years old, right? Like it was the first little door I opened to help me see that, oh, this is possible. I'm not sure that I want it yet or not, but I see it's a possibility now. And it's like that little door had to open for, in the future, whatever door opens in that regard, right? And that came from, it was a whole process that I had to go through on that trip to Kenya. And it was incredible, right? And I can't remember on my chart what Kenya presented, but it was definitely not a place that had what I would describe as flow energy for me, but absolutely one of the most transformative trips ever. And what ended up happening is I actually made some incredible friendships on that trip, people that I'm still great friends with today. Yeah, I totally see that. And, yeah, do you choose to go, well, where's the most challenging place, Sonia? And go there? I don't know, but it's definitely interesting to learn that information, right?
Yeah, and I think you also need to be ready, when you go to a place that's going to challenge you, you need to be ready, because if you're still in that moment, as you were talking about your divorce, if it's too recent and you are still, sensitive, maybe it's not the best time for you to face some challenges. It's going to be too much. You are already going through a lot. So maybe that moment of your life where you are going through will also help to decide, okay, I'm ready now for the challenge and overcome these beliefs. And sometimes it's just planting a seed that then will unfold over time. Or I need just now a supportive energy that helps me to move forward and help me to thrive.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. So give me the deets, Sonia. Are there places where we would be more abundant? Like, does that come into play? Like, it's like, show me the money line, Sonia. Is that a real thing?
Yes, it is. And actually, we can look at planet archetype that for you is represents abundance and financial abundance, and then we can map it out in the map. And I think it's important to say, because this is a question that I have sometimes from entrepreneurs and business owners, you don't necessarily need to travel to those places. If you have an online business, for example, you can choose, or you can, I can help you to find out where are the places where your clients, potential clients, or the financial return of investment will come geographically. So you can use to advertise, or do your marketing efforts in several countries or parts of the country that will be the best return of investment for you to get clients for your business. So it's not about only traveling there. We can use it. So your clients are there and you work online. We can do it without you moving physically.
Right.
So I think
I didn't even think of that. That's so interesting, right? Like, we live in a world where, everything can, well, maybe not everything, but most things can be some form of virtual, right? Our clients can be anywhere in the world. And so, yeah, that's a really interesting aspect.
People, for example, when it's a relationship as well, or even the clients, we can also use it as an example. But the person who are born in those countries, they have the energy of the place. So if, for example, somebody is from France and they are living in the US, they still, for you, they have the energy of France. So this is also, the place where the person was born has this energy as well. So you don't need to go to France to find love. It can be like a French person, being beside you that will have the same supportive energy for you.
That's so funny. So I was born in Canada, but my entire family is born in the UK. So I came along quite a few years later, after my parents had immigrated to Canada. And there was something that really always called me back to England. Like, I traveled back there with my parents, but then when I was 26, when I was 25, I went back with my dad for an extended trip. And then when I was 26, I moved there. And my husband ended up being English, and all my kids were born there. And so it's interesting, right? Like, although I was born in Canada, and I want to speak to that energetic piece because I have traveled a lot. Travel is something that has always been in my life. My family say I have this gypsy energy where I'm always on the move, kind of thing. And every time I come back and land in Vancouver, surrounded by the mountains and the trees and the rain, most likely, there's a grounding energy for me, and I feel it right away. Like, I remember when I was living in Europe, I was there for many years. Like, in total, I was in Europe for 10 years, and I would come home and I felt this grounding, and it almost like a settling, like, oh, and it felt like home, right? So you spoke to that a little bit. I think sometimes when we travel, we feel like, oh, this is my place. Like, I could live here, right? And then there's places where we think, oh no, this is not it, right? Like, for me, Texas is one of those places that is not it. Like, there's something, I'm never comfortable when I'm in the state of Texas. I don't know why. It's just not my thing, right? And I love the people, I love the food, I love all of it. But every time I'm there, and I go there quite a lot, I just do not feel relaxed. I'm on edge. for some reason. So you spoke to that a little bit, right? And do you find that with the clients that you work with, like they're like, oh, have you had people who are like traveled somewhere and been like, I'm never leaving here?
Yes, and I think the relocation piece is also a big reason why people book a session, because when you are living in a place that's not supportive, you find challenge after challenge after challenge, and it happened to me. So I discovered astrocartography as well as was a serendipity situation, but I was living in a place that was not supportive for me, and I was not even aware. I thought it was something wrong with me, until I discovered, oh, this is just the line that's crossing there. And I saw it just is very accurate, actually, because the other place I was living before was so transformational. And it was exactly the neighborhood that I was living. So it's very accurate when you zoom in the lines, where the lines go through. So instead of just checking and saying, trying an error, which is very expensive if you are trying to live in different places. What people do sometimes before setting a base is just go there for a short trip, but you have a sense of this energy that you feel in your body. As you say, when you arrive to Texas, is very, very obvious, so you can have this feeling and say, okay, it's not. But trial and error, the world is big,
right?
Even if you know the country. Some countries are big as well, right? So you said, yeah, I'm gonna go to Japan, or I'm gonna go to India, or I'm gonna go to Australia. They're huge, and then it's where in Australia. So we can map out with the map, help to find a place where you feel like home. So I think, and give it several options, because this is another question people ask me. Is there only one place that's home for me? There are many places that we can look at. And yes, there is the major aspects and the major lines, but then we can go deeper. The only difference is as we go deeper, you will need to be closer to the line, because the line actually has like span. You will feel the energy around in a few miles or kilometers. The small is the line, the closer you need to be, and it's not going to be as obvious, but we have many options that you can find like home in different countries around the world. So don't worry if you say, oh, what if my line for home is in a country that I would never live there, or I don't know the language, or I don't like the weather. There are other alternatives. So we can look, if you are clear about, I'm going to be in Europe, or I'm going to be in the US, or I'm going to be in specific countries, we can look at that country to see where there is going to be more supportive for you to live, for example.
Right. It's so interesting to me. It's a big topic, right? When you're working with people, obviously there's the transformative travel coaching aspect, right? And I think that an incredible thing for people to consider, like getting support in that. I have a friend right now who I believe has worked with you in an astrocartography way, who's kind of embarked on a little trip to Scandinavian countries. And I was just talking to her this morning, and she's having an incredibly transformative experience. And I know that part of her deciding where to go and when was working with you and understanding her map kind of thing. And of course, you're doing the astrocartography readings, right, where we get clarity on, our own personalized, map of the world, let's call it, right? And all of the different aspects, relationship, wealth, health, like creativity, like all of this stuff, right? Do you also support people in understanding their astrology?
Yes. And actually the astrocartography is an advanced methodology. So before we start any session, I always go through the chart itself. So we cannot read the astro map unless we understand the chart first. So I want to make sure the person, we are on the same page with that. And some people that sometimes return for other locations or their partners, or because if you travel with somebody else, the chart, we need to look at the composite chart of the two people or the group you are traveling with. It's not the same if you travel on your own, that right. If you or relocate on your own, or you relocate with your partner, with your family. we need to look at the overall energies of all the people involved, which is, it gets complex. So, yes, so the astrology reading is always necessary, and we need to come back all the time to make sure, because, the topic is like, okay, for love, I look at Venus, and, for growth, I look at Jupiter, but this is not, nobody has like a pure Venus or a pure Jupiter. So we need to look at the chart to understand what this person will experience in certain destinations, and this is always go back and forth with the chart. So yeah, some people use the reading as well to just look at the astrology understanding, and I use astrology not as a prediction tool, but as a tool for self-discovery. So I think it's a great tool to understand better yourself, and again, it's very accurate. The only challenge sometimes is to have your exact birth time, that I know people sometimes is approximate, so it needs to be accurate birth time, and then you will see how the chart and the astromap is exactly accurate as well.
Yeah, so good. Yeah, the data out is only as good as the data in, right? And
yes,
and I know for me, I had to contact the hospital I was born in, the records department, and they had to, like, the time isn't on my birth certificate, right? I had to pull the actual birth record to find out the actual time, and that's not always easy, right? So there's ways to find this information for sure. I think it's really interesting. You mentioned, like, if you're going with a group or you're going with other people, like, obviously that changes the dynamic of a trip, right? If you're going with other people and like, I'm taking a group of women to Morocco in January, and now I'm like, oh, I wonder what, like, the group as a whole in the astrocartography lens looks like, right? So
yes.
what a great tool for people who lead retreats and travel and experiences like that, where it's not just like, random people signing up to go on a trip. It's a intentional group of people that are curated, right?
Exactly. And the group is an entity in itself. So understanding what's the dynamic and the energetics of the group before you decide where, or even if the place is already decided, to understand what this group dynamic is going to be in that place, so you can be prepared ahead of time.
Yeah, totally. So good. This is great. So much information. I feel like I could talk to you forever about this. I'm just so intrigued by this kind of stuff. And as I said to my listeners, like, I have worked with Sonia personally. It is incredible. The experience of working with you, the level of detail that you went in to explain my chart. And then like, nobody's ever explained my chart to me at that level of detail that you did. And then, the advanced step of looking at the astrocartography angle was truly transformative and amazing. So if this is something that appeals to somebody and they kind of want to go further with you, how do they contact you, Sonia?
Thanks, Michelle. I appreciate that. So my website is Travel Awakens, travelawakens.com. And if they have, my contact details there, if they want to email me or just reach out to my social media, I'm also active in several platforms. If they are interested in the readings, then the website is travelawakens.com/astro. So there we have access to my calendar. They can book a session as well. And yeah, I will send the information.
That's so good. We'll have all of the contact details in the show notes. We'll have your social media contact information in the show notes. And, as I said, if this is something that has piqued your interest, pay attention to that little knock and take the next step with Sonia. It's amazing. And so I'm so grateful to have you in my life, because I'm like, oh, I know. One more question before we jump off. Is it a good idea to, like, have a session with you, a reading or whatever you want to call it, like at the beginning of a new year, or like that kind of thing? Like, is that something you should look at annually?
I would say when the person reaches out and books a session, I am also curious to see why, right? And why then? Why at that time? So I would say trust your intuition. Don't wait until January if you think now it's the time. And just because it's January, right? So I look at what are the transits that this person is going through, and then it gives me an idea of what kind of support they are looking from me. And this is something, so I would say trust whenever is the right time, you will know.
Trust your intuition, which I'm always talking about. So that's so good. Thank you so much, Sonia. I so appreciate you.
Thank you, Michelle. It's been a pleasure being here.
So as I mentioned, Sonia's gifts are magical, and I have worked with her personally. It was a game changer. If this episode speaks to you, don't wait. Reach out to Sonia and book a reading. It could be this missing piece of information. What I loved about this episode was the reminder for myself of how slowing down and immersing yourself in a place can unlock transformation. Sonia and I discussed how astrocartography works and how it can reveal your perfect destination. And I thought it was so interesting to think about the dynamics of a group and how we could use astrocartography when we are leading retreats or group travel experiences. I would love to hear your feedback. I always love DMs from our listeners. Of course, I invite you to leave a review, give us some stars, share the episode. If this spoke to you, if you think of somebody who could benefit from this, please share it with them. And if you end up getting your reading done and your chart done with Sonia, I would love to hear about it and hear what's your most amazing trip that's coming up. Where are you going based on the map that she shared with you? Have an amazing day, and don't forget to tune in next week where you're going to get a solo episode with me, and those are always fun and interesting. See you soon. Thanks for hanging out with me. I hope you got at least one gold nugget today. Be sure to grab your copy of the Rich Life Revolution workbook to help you set the foundation for your next level of wealthy. Get it now at richliferevolution.ca, and I'll see you later.